I survived the celestial dragon. I survived the celestial dragon.
I survived the celestial dragon.
As One Piece finally comes to an end, there's a lot of talk about what the treasure is, who should fight who, and does Luffy become the Pirate King? The question I find myself asking is, what do we do with the celestial dragons at the end of the story? Do we kill them all? Do we let them roam around freely, or put them all on a one prison island? In this video, we're going to be looking at the atrocities that the celestial dragons have committed and ask an important question. Can the celestial dragons be redeemed? The celestial dragons, also known as the world nobles, are descendants of the 20 kingdoms that came together to form an alliance about 800 years ago. From this alliance, the world government was created. And as you can imagine, any group that creates some sort of governing body will give themselves a lot of privilege and power. This is to say that the world nobles can do absolutely anything they want to do without any form of consequences. It seems like the only thing they can't do is go against each other, but everything else is fair game to them. Throughout this story, the world nobles have done some terrible things and laid a road full of trauma for their victims. Even royal families are not spared from their actions. Now, one question I have to ask as you watch this: if you can put all your biases aside, do you think the celestial dragons know any better? I want to make it clear I'm not defending any of their actions in any sort of way. But they are born being told that they are gods, raised to believe that they are above the law and no one can say no to them. I can understand how they would be a product of their environment. I honestly don't think that they know any better because that's how they've been brought up. Which makes characters like Don Quixote Homing, Rocinante, and Mosgard interesting to me because despite their upbringing and privilege, they started seeing life beyond their birthrights. Quick tangent, isn't it weird that it's the Don Quixote family that tends to step out of their world? When you have a faction like this in this story, that's hated by the citizens of the world, a faction that believes that they are better than the rest of the world, how does this story end for them? Let's jump to a point in time where the Revolution Army has beaten the world government and the celestial dragon system has been abolished. So now you just have some previous world nobles in front of you, powerless and vulnerable. What do you do? The first option, and a very terrible option to do, but also a very obvious action to do, is to aim your guns at them and let the bullets fly. You get rid of any remnants of the world nobles and move on with life. This is the easiest way to go about it, but this creates a system where if there's a faction or group of people you don't like, then the answer is to get rid of them. If you could do that to the world nobles, then why not do it to the fishmen or to the Skypians? What this option does is reinforce what the world government was already doing, which is power is might and the victor gets to decide who lives and who dies. This would only stop the cycle of the world nobles but give birth to other cycles. It doesn't cure the disease, it just temporarily treats the symptoms but only to have worse side effects later on. If killing them isn't an option, then perhaps you gather all of them and put them on a dedicated island where they live as normal people. Believe it or not, I think this is an even worse idea than the first one. First of all, can you imagine the amount of people that would be waiting to take the opportunity to attack their island? People would come together just to give them a taste of their own medicine. Pirates would be prowling around waiting to slaughter them. Secondly, it would be a bad idea to have all your enemies gathered in one spot. They could start plotting to get back into power, and who knows what schemes they could come up with. You would now have to spend some resources monitoring what they are up to. More importantly than anything, by putting all of them on one island, you cannot rehabilitate their long-standing ideologies and beliefs. What reference would they have for them to model themselves after? They would continue to teach their future generations what they know, so this option doesn't solve anything at all. The third option, and one that I think would be very tough to implement, would be to integrate them into society. Now this is a high-risk option because on the one hand, any chance someone has to attack them, I bet you that they would. Also, how do you make your victims cohabitate with their oppressors? Just because you abolish the system does not mean you remove the biases and beliefs from the victim side and the oppressor side, but it would be a starting point. I can imagine the majority of the world nobles would hate it. But I think that maybe just a tiny bit of them could start to change. I think this option would be better because they would know that they are always being monitored, and if they try any funny stuff, then they jeopardize their position in society like normal people do. I also think that this would take so many years for them to be integrated into society, and a lot of work would need to be put in from their side. I think the Revolution Army would be responsible for monitoring them and this type of option. I honestly started this video thinking I knew what the solution would be, but after going through it, I realized it's not as easy as it seems. The answer that sounds right is to forgive them and move forward. But we also know that as long as they have been in power, there was no intention for them to stop what they've been doing for centuries, and it would have gone on and on. Deep down, I want to get rid of all of them, but I also wouldn't want to exterminate a group of people. My conclusion would be that they have a global vote and all of the citizens get to decide what should be done with them as a collective. I hope this video wasn't too heavy, but it was just me sharing some of the thoughts that I've had about the world nobles. I promise the next video will be more fun, but I'd also like to know what you would do with the celestial dragons when all is said and done. Thank you for watching, and please, if you can, subscribe and like the videos, it would help the channel a lot. If you'd like to see more of my One Piece videos, then click on this one. See you next time. Thanks for watching.